Welcome, folks. This is Quizzing in America. I am Jeremy Conman, and I am coming to you today with a very special guest, a trivia royalty, if you will. The one, the only, Muffy Marracco. If you've watched the TV game show Masterminds, you may have seen her. If you follow Trivia Time on TikTok, you may have seen her. And if you're in the Southern California area, you can always go quiz with her. I believe every Thursday night. We're going to get into the where and when about that. But thank you, Muffy, for joining me. Welcome to Quizzing in America. And we're going to talk trivia and quizzing. How are you today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to get into a little bit of your background because you have one of the most kind of fascinating, not just hosting a pub quiz, which is what I've been doing for the last 15 years, but you have been not just a contestant on game shows, something else that I and many others have done. You have been one of the resident experts on the game show Masterminds. I think originally, was it Best Trivia Show Ever or something like that?
That's right.
And then became Mastermind. Yeah. And one thing I also want to talk to you about, as soon as we talk about you being one of the experts on Masterminds, you got to live out kind of my childhood dream of being a game show host. That was literally what I wanted to do as a kid. You hosted.
That is true. That is true. There were 5 episodes I did get to host. Yes. Yeah. So, and I joked that I actually joked recently.
So that's amazing. So I want to talk to you about go ahead.
Oh, no, I was going to say, so recently I had the opportunity to text Ken Jennings, with whom I had been on Masterminds, and he didn't realize that I had gotten to host the episodes of Masterminds, and I explained it, and I gave him the line from Heathers, which is, if you were happy every day of your life, you wouldn't be a human being, you'd be a game show host. And he joked, hits different now, doesn't it?
By the way, I love Heathers, one of my favorite movies as a child of the 80s, so I love that. So what was the first game show you were on, by the way? Was it Jeopardy, or had you done
It was Jeopardy. So I was on Teen Jeopardy as a 15-year-old in 1992, so do the math on that one. My brother had been on in I think the third season, 1989. He was in the third teen tournament. I think mine was the sixth. We were the first siblings to appear in the teen tournament. But he had been on and made it to the semifinals. I was on and I lost in my quarterfinal game because I did not bet enough money. I was in the lead. I was in the lead and got Final Jeopardy right. But it was the whole thing with the tournament where I was thinking I'd get it wrong, so the high-scoring wild card, blah, blah, blah. So I was actually the alternate in case someone died overnight, which did not happen, which is fine. It's fine. You can't go back and change your Jeopardy past, but it was really fun to do, obviously, at the age of 15, and just crazy experience because they fly you out and they fly your parent and they put us up in the Beverly Hilton and all these things. And then years later, I had reason to discover that the guy I had lost to, Raj Raghavan, was the agent of Janine Garofalo and told her to do the television movie that I had written, Girl's Best Friend.
Wow.
And I was like, well, I guess I forgive you now.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So totally crazy small world where I'm like, wait, what? He was like, yeah, I didn't realize that it was you.
And had you been on any other game shows after that or before Masterminds?
Yes. So let's see. So I started with Teen Jeopardy 1992, and then let's see, what would have been next? Would have been The Chase. So I was cast in the unaired pilot of The Chase, which was filmed in London as a sort of proof of concept. It was not, just a sort of sample. And then it got picked up by Game Show Network, and I was cast, and I think it was season 3, and I lost, and then came back for a second chance of it in season 4 and won. So that was The Chase. Yeah. In between that, immediately after that, after I went on The Chase, I was actually part of the development process of 500 questions, like gameplay testing. Sure. And then the second season of 500 Questions, I was cast as a contestant. I was a challenger against Guy Jordan and failed to oust him, but that's okay because he won like 6.
That was a tough show though. If you were the challenger, I think
he didn't get a lot of opportunity.
Yeah. It's like you could do everything right and still walk away with nothing. So
yes, exactly. Well, and he played it really well. He was really strategic, and he left off because there were only 3 battle rounds, like where you would have to go back and forth, like the list. And he kind of thought that Hawaii would have one of the battles, and he put it off until mathematically I could not win. And so it was like Hawaiian alphabet, and there was nothing I could do. I could have known all the answers and still not won. So that was a fun experience just because of the people cast. It was just such a great group of people. You hang out for multiple days sitting in like a green room, and but it's all these smart, wonderful trivia people. And then thereafter, it was one of the people who had been cast but not played was on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire that summer, and I went along as a +1. And then the next summer, I went along as someone else's plus one, and then I was cast on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and ultimately won $100,000. And then from there was cast as Best Ever Trivia Show and Masterminds as an expert. So that was the end of my contestant days.
Yeah, no, that's. And are you now ineligible to be? No, you could be a. I mean, I'm sure different shows have different eligibility rules, but I'm sure there's plenty of shows you could still be a contestant on. Because
it could be. I'm sure.
Masterminds. Yeah, Jonathan was a contestant on Trivial Pursuit, right?
That is correct. Yeah,
LeVar Burton. So
I know. Well, Jonathan also got to be. He was as a child a contestant, I believe, on Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, that's hashtag goals right there. I think they should bring that back for grown-ups.
Yeah, that would be amazing, especially for children, the Gen X generation like us. Now you host a weekly quiz. How long have you been doing that in LA? Is it in LA proper, or is it outside?
No, I host a weekly quiz in Los Angeles at a bar called Edendale, bar restaurant called Edendale in Silver Lake. I've been doing it about a year and a half. Basically, it's my regular spot, and they wanted to start a trivia night, and they knew my bona fides, and so they asked me to do it, and I did it. I would be hanging out there anyway. Let's just admit that. So
sure, why not? And so you put and then your TikTok trivia time. When did you start that? You started that during the pandemic, is that correct?
Yes, I started my TikTok, which I've neglected actually for the past few months, which is terrible. I think it was November 2021, which was Masterminds was sort of on hiatus because we had different, like the pandemic, and I think Ken was starting to host Jeopardy, so obviously we were sort of figuring that show out. And I was like, well, I need to sort of feed my trivia, the demon inside me that wants to know things. So I started hosting my TikTok, which got up to, I have about 180. I think I
thought you had over 200,000 followers. I mean,
it's about 186,000 followers right now. But yeah, I remember like around Thanksgiving of that year, so like 3 weeks in, showing my mom, I'm like, look, I have like 300 people following me, and it just grew from there.
And it quickly went to thousands and tens of thousands, and now we're well over 100,000 people, and it's really fun.
It is, and you know what?
I think what you did was.
No, it's fun because I like to. I mean, people always say, "Why do you like trivia?" I'm like, because I like knowing stuff and I like being right, which is why I'm a pain to be in an argument with.
Well, but it is fun knowing things, and sometimes you're right, but there are multiple ways to be. There are questions where I don't know. So when you write questions, now I know with trivia time, you tend to start out, it's kind of like the New York Times crossword, right? Like
yes.
Monday's like the easy day, right? And then it gets a little harder as the week goes on. And so when you're writing questions, are you ever trying to stump people? Are you trying to just find fun facts? Are you trying to write stuff about what like what's your process when you're coming up with trivia?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say the challenge for me, I think, was making the easy questions, that especially because also I ended up with a global following. I realized very quickly that I couldn't really ask a lot about state capitals or something like that because people in Australia and South Africa would just go, what? And that was a challenge with TikTok because you're hitting a much broader audience. And it's like a lot of geography, a lot of Olympics or, those sort of global things, but making them easy enough because you have to think like what that sweet spot of like, what do people know but won't be insulted by asking or, give it a twist. So I asked the Saturday questions, which were the hardest of the lot. Those were for me. Those were the ones where I learned something in the writing of it.
That's one of the fun things about writing questions for a living, right? Is like, not only are you like kind of trying to write fun stuff, but you're going to learn some stuff along the way, right? Like you go down these rabbit holes or arguing about something, you're like, I didn't know that.
Well, I had I had a good get in Online Quiz League the other day, which this will be live after, but it was basically one of the women on the U.S. quarters. I wrote a round for Women's History Month about women on the quarters. There's that series that they have, and it was someone that I looked up, and I was like, oh, I don't know what she had done, and I read about her, and then it was an answer in OQL, and I was like, oh, well, I just did that yesterday.
Oh wow, yeah, it's always fun when stuff comes back and you can
when it pays off.
Get some answers that way. I think I'm trying to remember what it was. I went down a rabbit hole a while back, and I think it's the guy that was like the bassist on the song Pac-Man Fever, if you remember that one from the 80s.
Yes.
And his wife is like the voice of Siri or something like that, I think.
Oh my God.
It was some wild connection. And I was like, oh, How weird that it was Buckner and Garcia were the group I know that did
Buckner has
Pac-Man Fever. And I think there's a guy in Buckner and Garcia. I don't know if it's one of them, but but I think he's married to the voice of Siri, basically. And that was just kind of a weird coincidence. So you're on Masterminds, you're on Best Trivia Show Ever, which becomes Masterminds. You're one of the resident experts. You're competing alongside Ken Jennings, the Beast, Jonathan, all sorts of great trivia minds.
Yeah.
You eventually got to host 5 episodes.
Yes.
How does that happen?
The magic of contagious diseases, in that Brooke had a cold. She had a terrible cold and she was losing her voice. So we had 3 days of taping left. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And she was sort of losing her voice on the Monday because she had developed a cold over the weekend. And they called me Tuesday morning and asked basically for me to host before I got into onto the set, because the fear was if she lost her voice totally partway through an episode, the contestants would get screwed over. So for fair gameplay, they just said, okay, well, we'll have you do it. So I was sitting at home in my jammy jams, having my coffee, and the, producer, the vice president called me and said, like, we need you to host today so Brooke could rest her voice entirely. And so I had about 45 minutes of like a run through, and then away we go.
When they asked you to host, like, so here's the thing, right? Like growing up, when you're a kid and they say, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
And people want to be an astronaut. They want to be a fighter. And I wanted to be a game show host. I wanted to be Pat Sajak, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here and I'm imagining somebody calls me up as they did you. And they said, hey, you're already on a game show, which is kind of like this dream that a lot of people in the trivia world would have to begin with. But now they're like, we want you to be the host. And I'm thinking, like, if somebody calls me and asks me that, like, I don't know if I would scream in the phone, but I would have the biggest smile on my face on my end. And then as soon as I get off the phone, I think I would just have to yell like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. And this is going to be awesome.
Well, I called my mom immediately.
Okay, sure.
And then I drove to the set, and it was just kind of surreal. Because the thing is, like, it wasn't utterly out of the blue. I mean, I was heading to the set anyway to be an expert, right? But it was just thinking like, and then just this thing like, wait, I know what to do. Okay, I've been on the show. I know what to do. That kind of thing of like telling yourself that you've got this. But it was wonderfully surreal and so fun.
Yeah, I'm sure the nerves had to be.
Oh yeah.
Well,
they said like, what do you need?
It's familiar. Yeah.
And I was like, I need patience. That's it. Like, let me make mistakes. And it was knowing that we could do another take if I was wrong, or sorry, the dogs are barking. Knowing I could do another take if that I messed something up or whatever. That really, it was only in the speed round was the only concern, because that's where.
Okay. And do you know what the deliberations for like the producers, or did they like be like, well, should we have Muffy do it? Should we have Jonathan do it?
I have no idea. I really don't. And I think it was just, and it was a wonderful opportunity to do. It was also, as I recently had said to Ken Jennings, because he had tweeted or Instagrammed us, I had no idea what to do with my hands. This is why they get the microphone, the Bob Barker skinny microphone, or this or the cards.
Microphone, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at myself and I'm like, what am I doing? Because you just like, you sort of gesture and I'm touching my hands. I'm like, you just don't know what to do with your hands. But it was so fun. And, because what was interesting was, so they put a little ear, like a little receiver in your ear, so the producer can talk to you while you're out there. So like it keeps it flowing, right? So it was, when you're playing Masterminds, like I could feel my brain doing like, it's like that pulling information, right? You're super focused on the question. Sure. You pull. This was more like I was firing on all cylinders. It was like popcorn popping everywhere, because it was like, turn here, put your toe there, hold this, interview them, but then someone's in your ear saying, and now ask Ariana,
Okay, so now I have another question, and I don't know if I'm allowed to ask this or if you can even answer this, but I know in Masterminds, and for those that don't watch it, you have 3 contestants, you have 3 experts or masterminds. The contestants play against each other, the masterminds play each other, and then eventually there's one winner from each side, and they go against each other in a final round where the contestant, if they beat the mastermind, walks away with $10,000 and the opportunity to come back and potentially become a mastermind further on down the road, and it's a lot of fun. But in the show, in the gameplay, when the masterminds answer a question after you always kind of sometimes give a little fun fact or something like that. Now, of those fun facts, I don't know, like I'm always curious, are they literally things that you just know off the cuff? Or is there like, okay, we're going to take a little break. This is the magic of TV. Now we're going to give you a fun fact that you can say about this. Or is it a little bit of both, a hybrid?
It's kind of a hybrid because most of it is, part of it was that GSN, like they wanted it to not just be a trivia show, but one you could learn from. Right. So it's that kind of thing. It's not just the questions, but also that you get to sort of understand why and how this kind of happens. So it would be, we would sort of catch each other's eyes, or Brooke would sort of catch your eye and kind of gesture to you to say like, Muffy, do you have something to add? Yeah. And if I knew something, I would. If not, they could come out afterwards and say like, you could mention, that like this happened. But it's a lot of it was because that was also best ever trivia show we did. Like they wanted to know a lot about how you knew it, and things were like,
okay,
be like, oh, literally, I read this yesterday, or I don't know, like I was obsessed with the moon when I was a kid, so I know all 12 men who've been to the moon, or whatever it is, like it's things like that. So yes, they didn't want dead air, but mostly it was things, and people would always call me out when I would make things up too, because I would think I knew why I knew it, and then I'd say something, people would be like, you're totally wrong.
But you know what? Sometimes you are totally wrong, but that is in your head the way you think you knew, I mean, there are things that like, the Mandela effect, right? Like you're like, you swear it was this way, and it wasn't. But somehow you still knew the fact, and that's what the important thing is you got the question right?
Yeah,
so,
yeah. So and obviously some things get edited down or whatever, but it was always fun because there was one time there was a question about Gates McFadden, who was on Star
Dr.
Trek,
Crusher.
and yes,
Sure.
and had also worked with the Muppets, and I was playing with Ariana, and these are two of her passions, and I started to say, well, Brooke, and Ariana, I was like, this is the most Ariana question that's ever happened, because she thought I was going to take the fun fact. And I was like, no. But one time Jonathan did that to me. He took one, it was about Abe Lincoln and his dog Fido, and I was like, Jonathan, are you really getting between me and an Abe Lincoln dog fact? Like, get off this stage.
Well, next time there was a chess question, I hope you stole it from him. So
there was totally an app. There was actually there was one where I did that, where I rang in and I had no idea.
I'm a very mediocre chess player, but someday I want to sit down and I want to play chess and Scrabble with Jonathan kind of back to back, because I think I'm a better player than he's significantly a better chess player than I. So now you host
chess. I couldn't even manage Scrabble.
Thursday out in LA.
I've seen Jonathan play Scrabble. That but he's very good. He's very strategic, I think, as a good chess player would be. So I like to just spell funny words.
Oh yeah, no, he's good at both.
Yes.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, there's a lot of funny words in Scrabble. So now, so you host a weekly quiz on Thursdays. Mention the name of the place again.
It's called Edendale.
Can you?
It is. It's in Silver Lake. It's an old Edendale. It's a 100-year-old building. There was a firehouse from the 1924 through 1989, and it's this beautiful. And they restored it to this beautiful old. There's a big bar where the fire truck used to be, and things like that. And it's a beautiful back patio where they used to play handball or keep the horses, or I have no idea. It was an old firehouse. But yeah, so they wanted to start a trivia night. So basically, we sort of mutually recruited each other, because I was like, I can host trivia, and they're like, Muffy, could you host trivia? So I had never regularly hosted a pub quiz before. I had tried to think, I had done like one or two nights. You guys, shut up. I had done dogs. Sorry. Come here.
Dogs.
Something. I'm going to bribe them with treats.
I mean, the puppy's on screen, I mean,
the dogs are ever present in the Zoom. No, I had hosted like one trivia night for like Syria relief, and another one, like, just a couple one-offs here and there, nothing ever regular. And it's a surprising amount of work for one quiz, I do 6 rounds of varying length, 6 to 8.
The fun thing is if you start doing it regularly, it becomes less work spread over a number of quizzes than you do. Because if you're doing one quiz, you're doing the same amount of work a lot of times as if you're doing 5 quizzes, or at least just not significantly more, right? It's like one quiz is definitely the most work you'll put in per quiz than if you do multiples.
Yeah.
So how long is your quiz? You said it's 6 rounds, right?
I do 6 rounds. It usually ends up being about hour 45. It depends on the number of teams, because I do it on paper, baby. I'm an analog kind of gal.
You know what? I love the traditional pen and paper quiz. I know there are several now that use the phone. And I think the last episode or 2 episodes ago, I talked to a guy, Bobby Roast Beef, in Western Massachusetts, and he uses an app called Speed Quizzing. And there are a lot of games out there now that use phones and apps, and some of them are great games. But I am a traditionalist. I love me a pen and paper game, and that's just the way I am.
And I have my custom pencils. My pencils say it's
Very
trivia
nice.
time on them. And I have an electric pencil sharpener.
Awesome.
It's a big
And
attraction.
Do people keep the pencils, or do you try and get them back?
I try and get them back, but there's attrition.
I'll tell you right now, I was hoping to get out there. I was out in LA a little over a year ago when you were hosting, and it was just too far of a commute. I didn't have a car, so I wasn't able to get out to Silver Lake and play. But hopefully I will get back there and I will play a quiz. And I will tell you this, I would steal a pencil. So
you're allowed to have a pencil.
It would be it would be one of the attrition. How many questions do you do each round?
It depends. It's sort of what I can milk it for. So I will do 6, 8, or 10. I like even numbers. Except one round I did about the number 9, so I asked 9 questions.
Okay. All right. That's fair. And do you have a favorite type of question? Or are you like I love a same name question, a before and after, or a rhyme time, what name the year? I don't know. True, false. Like, what are your favorite question types and your least favorite question types?
Yeah, it's I try and theme things just because that makes the writing easier. But so I'll often start with an on this day, not exclusively. And my friends who play will be like, "Are you doing it on this day? Do we have to bone up? Like, do we have to check out what happened?" I'm like, I don't know. But I do that because it's an easy one, and it can be really diverse because it'll be like geography, history, births, pop culture, sports, whatever. My favorite, and I think everybody else's favorite that at least plays my game regularly, is the Find the Connection round I like to end with, which will be 9 questions.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah, and they're a challenge to write. Like, it's because I like to do 9 questions and then the 10th, so it's a full round. And those meet with varying degrees of success. One that I had that was very popular was actually, it was all the answers of the Find the Connection were all local bars and
okay.
So it was so I can get hyper local because I only hosted this place. So
sure. And it's probably not a huge tourist place. I'm guessing it's a lot of local folks that are playing.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was, kind of fun to do that. But yeah, I like the Find the Connection because I always like that too, because you could sometimes reverse engineer your way into an answer if you weren't sure the first time around.
Yeah, that is, when I host quizzes, I almost always have a hidden connections round. And I, too, used to always do an on this day type thing, especially when I first started out, because it's a great way to get inspiration on writing on a variety of subjects, right? Because you can have a day where like, oh, this famous politician was born, and this famous singer, and this famous model, and this famous actress, and this famous author. And so you're like, oh, I can ask about literature and geography and politics and world history. Yeah. And
I'll sort of do things themed. Every so often, I will freely admit, just do a general trivia round that I have recycled from my TikTok.
Sure.
So make it like, because that one is when I wrote the TikTok. What I did was, so I spent the month of October before I launched it in November, basically writing questions. I had a backlog. I had this spreadsheet with probably 400, 500 questions in there, just churning them out, right? And then I decided what was hard, what was medium, what was easy, so I could do the sort of tiered level of like New York Times style Monday to Saturday. So in any of my rounds, I hate wagering, as we previously mentioned. I lost on Jeopardy because of wagering. I hate it. I'm not a bettor. I'm not good at gambling. I don't like the risk. I don't like being asked, how certain are you? I like, do you know it or you don't? So I don't do any double down or anything like that, or wagering or points. It's just, what do you purely know? So
after the 6th round, the quiz is over.
Yes, exactly. And sometimes a tiebreaker as needed, which is always a really annoying, just like number question. Sure. Like the other day I asked, I think it was, it was how many episodes of Mr. Rogers had there been? Or like the American who's been the longest in space, Peggy Whitson was like,
how many episodes of Mr. Rogers? I'm trying to think of what I would say for that. Like, it was on during all of my childhood. It had to be on for, 40 years. Was it a weekly or it was a daily show, right? It was like Monday through Friday.
I think
for like 40. So, I mean, like, that's a lot of episodes. I'm going to say like 11,402. No, I don't know how many there were, but
it was, according to MrRogers.com, 895.
Sure. There was only 895?
That's it.
Oh my God.
Maybe it was weekly. I don't know.
So off on that.
It's rough. It must be weekly because, quite frankly, I also asked after the Saturday Night Live 50th how many episodes of that, and that was similar.
Well, but Saturday Night Live is once a week. There's
Mr. Rogers must have been once a week then. I don't know. It's been a while since I watched.
Yeah, I guess it must have. For some reason, I thought it was like every. Like I thought you could watch Mr. Rogers every day, but apparently
maybe it's because they had all the backlog and kids aren't that short.
That's true. That's true. Maybe they were just showing reruns when I was a kid. Wow. I don't usually I'm pretty good on closest to the pin questions. That might be the most off I've ever been.
That's good. Right, well, I want to closest to the pin. So I always ask that for a tiebreaker because I did one where I kept doing like numbers and the teams kept putting both teams kept putting 69 and I'm like
69, yeah.
Forget it. We're pulling names out of a hat. You are just kidding me right now.
Well,
but yes. Yeah, I like to theme things, so it makes the writing a little easier. And then general trivia is just generally recycled. Find the connection. The one that I dropped, people did not enjoy, as speaking of wagering, people did not enjoy a Who Am I round, where it's, if you know.
Oh, see.
10,
I
8,
I do enjoy those, but I'm kind of nerdy, so maybe that.
I kind of like playing them because a lot of the time, like I like the challenge of do I know it at 10, but it is also like people didn't like that sort of pressure to turn in or not, or
Yeah.
Because my game can get
so you did
close.
like an escalating clues round, right?
Yeah.
So like if you get it in on the first one, it's 10 points. The second one, it's 9 points. So it's like, so it's funny. I did one of those, or I like those rounds, and I once played in a quiz, and it was an escalating clues question. It was worth 20 points on the first one, 15, 10, 5, and then 0 if you didn't get it. And the first clue was author born in Maine. And I think everybody in the bar went, okay, is there somebody besides Stephen King that it could be? and we all turned it in, got 20 points, and the guy writing the quiz is like, okay, maybe I should save that one. I'm like, yeah. Author born in Maine, like that's, I don't know if there's anything more Stephen King other than horror author,
Yes,
like,
exactly. Horror, prolific horror author born in Maine.
But
yeah, because that's also sometimes people would turn it all in on the first one or not.
All right. Well, you know what? If you don't mind, what I like to do to kind of close out each episode is I like to have my guest give me a quiz as if we were in their pub or bar and I was playing. And so if you have a Muffy Marracco Thursday night Edendale quiz, I'd like to play one.
All right, let me see what I got. Hold on.
All right.
Do maybe this past week's. Hold on.
Yeah, if you got this past week's, that's great. We can see how see how I would have done.
All right, I'll give
obviously, if there's audio rounds, we'll skip that.
No, again, I am too analog. I don't. I'm like it's what's on paper. I do grade in ink. That's it. But it's fun also because.
Do you have a red pen?
I did have a red pen. Sometimes it's just a pen, like, but
yeah.
But it's because I wrote the questions. And now I know the answers, having just read the questions to you. I can grade real quick because I don't have to. I just go like.
That is the same with me. I find that I am a much faster grader when I'm doing a quiz that I wrote because I know exactly what all the answers are because I wrote them.
Exactly.
And it's
Well, so my spiel when I start the quiz is always I say obviously no cheating, no looking up answers, no texting people, no shouting out answers. I am the quiz master. So disputes end with me in terms of scoring or answers. I say I wrote the questions. I looked up the answers. I'm always willing to be wrong, even though I'm probably not. And then I let them.
In your case,
it's I try to do my due diligence.
Well, yes, and most trivia hosts don't have the pedigree or background that you have. So
yes.
In your case, it's more true that you're probably right and I'm probably wrong if I'm going to disagree. Not always going to be the case. Once in a blue moon, I'm a pretty good guy when I'm right, and if I'm wrong and you correct me, I will, certainly make acknowledgement of it, but
Well, yeah, and I'm always willing to adjust. I think it was I asked about soccer torta, and it's traditionally apricot, and a friend had eaten one with raspberries and found a recipe with raspberry. And I'm like, fine, you get the point. It is. I am not. It is as I always. It is pub trivia. It is not. We're not like doing kidney transplants. It's fine. It's just
that's right. And it's I want you to get points. I want you to do well. I want you to eat, drink, tip your servers.
Exactly.
Take care of the people taking care of you. Right? Yeah.
So that's
all right.
All right. So we'll do it on this day. This is from March 6th. Okay.
Okay. Hey.
What city, the most populous in Canada, changed its name from York when it incorporated on this day in 1834?
Well, I believe that'd be T-Town, Toronto.
You got it. All right.
Right.
During the Texas Revolution, what mission near San Antonio capitulated on this day in 1836 after a 13-day siege?
See if I can remember this one. The Alamo?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. With the capital city of Accra, what country in 1957 became the first sub-Saharan country to gain independence from the British?
I believe known as maybe the Gold Coast. I don't know if that was the name of the country or not, but Ghana is
correct.
Accra is the capital of Ghana. Yeah.
Yes. In Berlin in 1899, Bayer patented what common drug made from acetyl salicylic acid?
So this is one of those things, right, where I'm going to second guess myself because immediately I'm like, Bayer, so that's just aspirin, right? Is that what we're looking for? Aspirin? Or are we looking for something like Tylenol, like a proper name? But I'm going to say aspirin.
It is aspirin, 1899.
Okay. Yeah.
And then born on this day in 1947, athlete Dick Fosbury was born. What event did he revolutionize with a namesake move and win the gold medal at the 1968 Olympics?
The Fosbury flop is it pole vault or is it high jump? I think it's the pole vault. Is it the pole vault?
It's the high jump. Wrong side of the coin.
Yeah. I hate it when that happens.
Yes. And that was
funny because I was like, I said that, and as soon as I said that, I'm like, I can't picture him with a pole. No.
Well, that was hard.
Well,
somebody turned in track and field, and I had to be like, well, not technically right, because that's not the move. Anyway, so that's always a challenge. Okay.
So was that round one? That
was round one, was on this day. Round two, Women's History Month. In 1991, which country won the first FIFA Women's World Cup held in China?
Oh, I should know this. Okay, so Germany has won multiple. It's not Japan because they've only won one. Part of me wants to say it's like Sweden. Oh, God. Oh, I should really, really know this. Like, it's either Germany or it's a like Nordic country. And I want to say that maybe, oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
Don't overthink it, Jeremy.
It's not the U.S. Is it Norway?
Get out your big phone for USA.
I'm going to say Norway.
It was USA. They've won the most.
Yeah, I knew we'd won the most, and I knew we won. I think we've won 3, right? And
4, I believe. I believe it's 4.
I thought Norway must be the second, or we won 4. Okay.
If just going off the research that I did for this, I believe it was they defeated Norway for the first one.
Then Norway won the second one, and I think the U.S. came back and won the third, and then it was Germany back to back, and then
there was the U.S. and
U.S. back to back, and Spain.
Yep.
Yeah. And so look at that. I know the winners of every one, and I got this question wrong.
There we go. In 1893, what was the first country to grant all its women citizens the right to vote?
Okay. Netherlands or Denmark? Netherlands or Denmark? I'm going to go Denmark.
New Zealand.
Oh, I think I've heard that too. I should have known.
Yeah, wrong hemisphere. That was a you know what or you don't kind of hard one because I got to.
Yeah,
as I said, I put in like 2 doozies per round, kind of.
I think Netherlands or Denmark. One of them is the first that allowed same-sex marriage. That is maybe the fact I was getting confused in my head.
Yeah, that's all right.
Okay,
In 1933, American Frances Perkins was the first woman appointed to a cabinet position as Secretary of what?
She was Secretary of Labor, I'm pretty sure.
You are correct. Thank her for your weekend.
Okay.
And then let me give you in 1963, Valentina Tereshkova became the first woman to go where?
Space.
Got it. And who was the first woman to win the Grammy for Album of the Year for her performance at Carnegie Hall in 1961? She tragically died in June 1969 at the age of just 47.
I believe.
What was that?
I believe that is the one and only Judy Garland.
You are correct.
Garland, right?
Yes, it's Judy Garland, and that was I thought the straight up question was a little hard, so I gave the death clue.
Oh no, that's absolutely, especially in that round. You had that's a tough round, and I should have done better. I feel bad that I missed the U.S. for the first FIFA Women's World Cup.
Well, I will say none of my teams actually got all the questions, and I got to berate them for being misogynists.
You know what though? I think a good round. Nobody should get them all, and nobody should miss them. In most,
that's
rounds,
what. Yes,
right?
exactly. I want something like that. I also did a handout round that was it didn't depend on the pictures, but it was just saved me some time. It was women on quarters, called 2 Bits Badasses.
Okay.
So there's one of in 1980. Yes, exactly. They have a special series. It's 2023 through 2025, something like that. So 2 bits badasses. In 1983, NASA asked Dr. Sally Ride
Yes.
if she needed 100 of what feminine hygiene product to go into space for a week.
Tampons?
Correct.
Did they really do that?
They did. They were like, because they're trying to make sure there was enough. They're like, you need 100 tampons for space? She's like,
Ow.
funny. Or they said it was like, is that the right number? She's like, it's not the right number. They asked her, it was, because they do obviously redundancies to make sure there's more than enough. So yes, but that was also, as a woman writing my own quiz, I like to, bring it in sometimes to non-cis white guy stuff. Okay. Number 2, Cuban-American Celia Cruz was known as the queen of what genre of music?
Tejano. Oh, I know this. Salsa.
Correct.
Salsa.
Correct.
Salsa.
Queen of salsa, yes.
Okay. I'm like, it's not, yeah.
Wilma Mankiller was the first female chief of what Native American nation headquartered in Oklahoma?
So, Oklahoma. Cherokee? Cherokee.
Correct.
I think it's the Cherokee.
Correct, yes.
Let's go with Cherokee.
Because they are, I think, the largest. It's Cherokee or Navajo, they're both very large.
Yeah. And I think Arizona is where Navajo.
Yes, exactly. So it's sort of, again, you got to sort of narrow it down. And then Juliette Gordon Lowe should get a merit badge for founding what organization in 1912?
I love her cookies, the Girl Scouts.
That's correct. Just loaded up on some Samoas yesterday. Okay, so that was some of my 2-bits badasses. What else did I have? I had some Oscars trivia because the Oscars had just happened.
Oh, I love Oscars trivia.
Okay. Cynthia Erivo was nominated this year for Best Actress for playing Elphaba in Wicked. She was previously nominated for playing what famous, formerly enslaved woman who helped others escape to freedom?
Harriet Tubman, that was a great movie.
I didn't get to see it, but it was her second nomination.
Yeah,
oh,
she was wonderful in it, deserved the nomination, and someday she'll get that Oscar and complete her EGOT.
I know. I think they're probably waiting. I have a feeling they're waiting for Wicked Part 2. Anyway.
She may get it.
Yeah. Who is the only performer to have won 4 Oscars for acting?
That would be Miss Hepburn and Catherine, by the way. Yeah.
Yes, Katharine Hepburn. Let me ask you. As a teenager, Patty Duke won an Oscar for her portrayal of which famous blind deaf girl?
Helen Keller.
See, is sneaking in more Women's History Month. And what 2003 movie, the third in a series, is the only film thus far to win every award it was nominated for, all 11 of them?
Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. I hated those movies, but it won them all.
It did win them all. All right, that was some Oscars trivia. It was also Mardi Gras, so I had Fat Tuesday, sweet treats from around the world. What was the surname?
Oh, very nice. I did a Fat Tuesday round this week, too.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Surname?
What was the surname of the American man who created a sweet baking chocolate that is used in a popular 1950s recipe to make a chocolate, coconut, and pecan cake?
I'm not going to know this. I feel like
this was the hardest one across the whole game.
Answer. Oh, okay, good. Okay, I'm like, I feel like there should be some obvious answer staring me in the face. I'm glad it was the hardest one because I'm like, I'm just going to say Hershey because I don't know.
That was very common. Can you think of a chocolate, coconut, and pecan cake?
Chocolate, coconut cake. Yeah, I don't like chocolate, so no.
There you go. It is a German chocolate cake. His last name was German.
Oh, wow. Okay. You know
German.
what? So that's a fun fact right there that German chocolate cake is not named for Germany, but the guy that made it. Okay.
So that's why I said American man, and I was being rude.
Yeah.
In The Godfather, Clemenza utters the famous line that a mafia hitman should, quote, leave the gun and take what? Tube-shaped shell of fried dough filled with sweet ricotta cheese.
Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Exactly. What flambéed fruit dish seasoned with cinnamon and served with vanilla ice cream originated at Brennan's in New Orleans?
That is Bananas Foster, not Cherry's Jubilee. Bananas Foster.
Correct, yes. The cherries, I think, are, first of all, French or British and also no cinnamon.
Yeah, those two desserts, because they're both like flambe. I get them confused sometimes. I got to remind myself.
Put your fruit on fire. Exactly. Yeah, Cherry's Jubilee. Again, it's like there's the most common wrong answer was Cherry's Jubilee, Hershey. These were
Sure.
What is the name for the Swedish layer cake with raspberries covered in a layer of green marzipan? It got its name from its popularity with the daughters of Karl, the Duke of Västergötland.
Okay, so
a famous green Swedish cake.
Oh, oh my God. I can't believe I almost missed this question. Jerome Vered, if you're listening, I apologize. So Jerome Vered, who you know as well, who's also a Southern Cal guy and plays the O'Brien's quiz on a regular basis. I was out there once on his birthday and he wanted for his birthday a princess layer cake. And I believe this is a princess layer cake. And
you are correct. You can thank Jerome. There you go. Yes, it is.
That is the only reason I know that answer is Jerome.
It used to just be called green cake, but it's the daughters of the Dukes. Let me see if I have another one from dessert, and then I'll do this one's. What Latin American cake is made with evaporated, condensed, and whole milk?
Ooh. Latin American cake.
This might play easier in SoCal.
Yeah.
Evaporated, condensed.
Oh, is this the Dulce? What's it called? Dulce de Luce? Is that what that is?
No, close. Tres leches, 3 milks. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
yeah,
it's very popular here.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay,
I've heard of both of those. I would definitely probably have gone with the one I went with, and if I was playing with somebody smarter than me or who knew more about food, then we would have maybe gotten it right. But yeah,
sometimes it just is what it is. It's 3 milks.
Fair enough. All right.
Here's my Find the Connection round. I'll leave you with this.
Yeah.
What leading newspaper has been published in Los Angeles since 1891?
All right. Is it media newspaper?
What leading newspaper has been published in Los Angeles?
Oh, leading. Did you say leading?
Leading. L-E-A-D. Major. So major newspaper.
So just the Los Angeles Times, the LA Times.
Right? Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Later known as Malik El-Shabazz, what was the first name of the civil rights Okay. Number 2. Later known as Malik El-Shabazz, what was the first name of the civil rights advocate and Islamic preacher with the original last name Little?
That'd be Malcolm.
Correct. What jersey number was worn by Eli Manning, Sue Bird, and Lionel Messi? I believe Eli Manning was a 10. You're correct. Yeah. Actor Leota, author Bradbury, and musician Charles all shared what first name? Ray. When buying sunscreen, what does the F stand for in SPF? Factor. Correct. What word can follow air, hunger, and meteor? Air, hunger, and meteor. Yeah. Meteor shower, air, meteor, right? Meteor, air, hunger, and Hunger Games. No, hunger. Okay, why am I having so much? I'm going to pitch it to you in a different. Hold on, give me 1 second to verify that this is okay. Hold on. I'm going to give you the way I actually kind of wanted to ask it. Oh, no, it's not what it said. Okay. What else could I do? Hold on. I'll give you, I'll reword. Do you want me to reword? We'll give you a different take on it? Sure, why not? Let's. Oh, how can I do it? Hold on. Sally Field played Norma Ray, who is a worker who does what? That's not very good. Like, was she a union organizer or just kind of? But they would. Well, now think of hunger, air, meteor. Oh, strike. There you go. Okay. Yeah, I should have. Okay. Yeah. Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss founded What America. Oh, wow. Known for its black and white face. Sorry. You got the connection. By the way, I absolutely love this theme, and that ow was the theme. I just picked up on the theme. Yes. Well, this is what I freely admit I was sort of poking around online and found this as sort of a thought, and it was actually one of my questions on who it was to be a millionaire. So I was like, this is fair game. What is the Paul Stanley, Gene Simmons, Ace Frehley, and Peter Criss? That is KISS. I love What social KISS, media app was founded by Jack Dorsey, Noah Glass, Biz Stone, and Evan Williams in March 2006? That would be Twitter. Correct. And what song by The Who contains the lyric, I hope I die before I get old? That would be My Generation. You got it. So we have times. And 10. Ray, Factor, Strike, Kiss, Twitter, and My Generation. What's the connection? And I believe X marks the spot when it comes to this theme. You got it. Yeah, I kept looking over because I was writing down these answers, and I was like, LA Times, Malcolm, 10? Like, I don't get it. Well, and then as soon as I got the strike. Yeah, because some of them are like literally like the symbol for it, like time or kiss or whatever. Because that was what was asked of me on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and I came across that as a question online. And I was like, oh yeah, like there are things that X stands for is the letter that apparently stands for the most other things. So then I have to do the other ones, like X-ray, Twitter. That's a great theme. I love that. And that would be basically kind of the final round of the quiz then, or is there? Yeah, and that's usually it. That is, and that's usually it, unless I need a tiebreaker. Fair enough, which I would have done horribly on if it was the Mr. Rogers one, because I apparently have no idea how many episodes of Mr. Rogers there were or were not. Now, obviously you like hosting the once a week quiz. You said you've done one-offs. Do you continue to do those? Or if people wanted to get Game Show Network celebrity and
actual game show host, Muffy Marracco, to come to their company and run a quiz, you're like, yeah, I'd do that, you know?
I guess I could. I don't know. I'm a busy lady.
No, you're always doing stuff. I mean, first of all, you do not only do you do the stuff that you do, you know, for fun and for money, but you do a lot of good stuff for people. Like you're always donating blood and platelets and
I donate. I donate. I try to donate platelets every couple weeks at Children's Hospital. And
you're what they call a good egg. I'm
a good egg, but that's actually when I donate platelets because the process takes about 2 hours. It's a great time because and one arm is of course occupied with a needle, but it's a great time to brainstorm. I will sit there with my phone and a piece of paper and brainstorm my rounds for the week and like research what I'm going to ask about.
Oh, that's
a great way to check, you know?
So if you want like a insider tip on Muffy's quiz, go donate some platelets next to her in the next chair, and then maybe you'll know what's coming up.
Yeah, and all the questions will be about like the snacks they give me, like Cheez-Its.
So if people out there want to be better at trivia or better at quizzing, do you have advice for them? What would you say, like, makes you as good a quizzer, as good at trivia as you are?
It's always such a question people ask, like, how do you get better at trivia? Part of it is sometimes I think if you're a trivia person, you just kind of have somebody described it as a duct tape brain, like where you just like things stick to your brain. A lot of times I find the things that I am asked that I have missed, I never forget because I am mad, but it's, I think, just having curiosity and pursuing things. So it's either like in writing questions, going down that hole, or in reading up on things, you just keep reading or whatever. It's sort of filing it away. I think my memory works sort of like associating, you know, like I could sort of connect one thing to another a lot of the times. But I think to get better, it's kind of practice, like playing, yes, where you get things right, but also where you get things wrong. I personally like writing things down. That helps me. But
absolutely. And I think, you know, also people need to be not afraid to be wrong, right? Like I see so many people at my quizzes and quizzes I've hosted over the years that know the answer, but think they're wrong. And so they don't want to put it down because they don't want people to think they're dumb and don't know. And they'd rather put a blank space than put something.
I do not believe in blanks.
And then somebody
might make a guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? If your guess is wrong, your guess is wrong. You're not going to be the only one that's wrong. You're going to miss. Everybody misses questions. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, you know? So get out there and answer what you can. And, you know, you'll be right a good amount of the time. Even if it's not more often than you're wrong, you're going to be right enough of the time that it's going to pay off in the long run.
Or if not,
anyway,
it's something new. You learn it.
Yeah. You know, and it's always fun to learn. So I want to, again, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with me and just, you know, thank you for everything you do. And as far as the quizzing community as a whole, I think that you make it a better community. And I think it's, you're just such a fun person to, you know, talk to. And I love following your TikToks. I hope you get back on those soon. I know you've taken a little bit of a hiatus, but
I know I've got the eyeglasses to wear.
Back, right? Yeah. I mean, how many pairs of eyeglasses do you own?
I haven't counted lately, but I stopped counting at 111.
Okay. So it's a lot of pairs of eyeglasses.
It is. My prescription, people ask, but I buy them online. So some of them are like $20. You know, it's like, that's about what I pay because they're cheap plastic frames. And I have a very simple prescription that hasn't changed in about 15 to 20 years. So I've been accumulating them for about that long. And then it became my nerd signature look. When you're a lady on TV, you need accessories.
There you go. I like it. And I hope that the Game Show Network wants to bring back Masterminds for another go around. Or if they don't, they bring you back in some way, shape, form, or capacity. Because you got the hosting experience. You were great as one of the experts on Masterminds. I mean, I'm sure there'll be more opportunities down the road where we're going to see you on TV. So thank you.
It was my pleasure, Jeremy.
All right. And I'm just going to say thank you to everybody listening. We'll be back next week with another episode of Quizzing in America. We're going to talk to another host out there. If you're a host out there and you want to come on, drop me a line. You can do that at Quizzing in America. And if you're a listener and you want to, you know, jump on and maybe play along with me for one of these quizzes, I think I'm going to start having people do that as well. Thank you again, Muffy. Thank you to everybody that is out there listening. Be well, take care, treat others nicely, and learn a thing or two because it's always fun.